With history being the way it has been, with male-dominated societies since the dawn of time, you might think that Father's Day, a holiday recognizing men, would be perfectly acceptable. Well, it turns out when Father's Day was first proposed, it was rejected.
Dad, there's no such thing as Father's Day Eve.
No Father's Day Eve?
And it didn't become a national holiday in the US until 1972 during President Richard Nixon's administration. So why was it a hotly contested debate? We'll get to that in just a moment. In the mean, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. As with all things, let's start with, where did the idea of Father's Day even begin? When June comes rolling in, our minds instantly think summer vacation and Father's Day. But what if I told you that Father's Day and summer have much more in common than you thought? The earliest version of Father's Day actually comes from ancient paganism, as it happens to fall around the same day as the summer solstice, in which pagan religions held festivals in honor of the sky fathers and sun gods. So there's a potential link there. But what is Sky Father? It's a term for a recurring concept in polytheistic religions of a sky god who is addressed as Father, often the father of a pantheon, and is often either a reigning or former king of the gods. The concept of Sky Father may also be taken to include sun gods with similar characteristics, such as Sol Invictus, the Roman sun god, which King Constantine happened to be a devout follower of before he converted to Christianity, or Ra, the sun god of Egypt, etc. Sky Father is a direct translation of the Vedic Diaos Pita, etymologically descended from the same Proto-Indo-European deity name as the Greek Zeus and Roman Jupiter, or Germanic Tyr, and many more sky deities in various cultures. But Father's Day as we know it has been around for about 113 years. So what was it with the Father's Day controversy, and why was it not immediately accepted when it was proposed? Well, first came Mother's Day. It was officially recognized in 1914, so men in the early 1900s associated such a tribute to women and found the idea too effeminate to their liking. But the origin and history of Mother's Day has a much more darker and tragic story than you may have thought. You can check out the origins of Mother's Day on my channel. But all things aside, to be fair, Mother's Day was couched in terms of femininity. In 1914, President Woodrow Wilson called Mother's Day a way to recognize that tender, gentle army, the mothers of America. Men viewed the idea of Father's Day as similar to Mother's Day, which was popular with florists. For fathers, it didn't have the same sentimental appeal. As one historian writes, they scoffed at the holiday's sentimental attempts to domesticate manliness with flowers and gift-giving, or they derided the proliferation of such holidays as a commercial gimmick to sell more products, often paid for by the father himself.
Hey Mom, can I have some money to buy Dad a present?
If I give you money, how is the gift really from you?
Where do you get your money?
Here's a 10, make your own card.
Also, according to Lawrence R. Samuel, the author of American Fatherhood, A Cultural History, men had a different role in the family during the first half of that century. It was patriarchal, so they felt that a special day to exalt fatherhood was a rather silly idea, when it was mothers who were underappreciated. However, that sentiment changed over time for several reasons. The first known Father's Day service occurred in Fairmont, West Virginia, on July 5, 1908, after the worst mining accident in U.S. history. About 250 fathers died in the Monongah mining disaster that killed 361 men in West Virginia. The disaster left 1,000 children fatherless. One of those kids was Grace Golden Clayton. Grace Golden Clayton was a daughter of a dedicated minister who proposed a service to honor all fathers, especially those who had died. However, The observance didn't become an annual event, and it wasn't promoted. Very few people outside the local area knew about it. Meanwhile, across the country, another woman was inspired to honor fathers. In 1909, Sonora Smart Dodd of Spokane, Washington, was inspired by Anna Jarvis and the idea of Mother's Day. Her father, William Jackson Smart, a farmer and Civil War veteran, was also a single parent who raised Sonora and her 5 brothers by himself after his wife, Ellen, died while giving birth to their youngest child in 1898. While attending a Mother's Day church service in 1909, Sonora, then 27 years old, came up with the idea. Within a few months, Sonora had convinced the Spokane Ministerial Association and the YMCA to set aside a Sunday in June to celebrate fathers. She proposed June 5th, her father's birthday, but the ministers chose the 3rd Sunday in June so that they could have more time after Mother's Day to prepare their sermons. Thus, on June 19, 1910, the first Father's Day event commenced. Sonora delivered presents to handicapped fathers. Boys from the YMCA decorated their labels with fresh-cut roses, red for living fathers, white for the deceased, and the city's ministers devoted their homilies to fatherhood. The widely publicized events in Spokane struck a chord that reached all the way to Washington, D.C., and Sonora's celebration put the idea on the path to becoming a national holiday. However, the holiday didn't catch on right away, perhaps due to the perceived parallels with Mother's Day. In 1916, President Woodrow Wilson and his family personally observed the day. 8 years later, President Calvin Coolidge signed a resolution in favor of Father's Day to establish more intimate relations between fathers and their children and to impress upon fathers the full measure of their obligations. In 1966, President Lyndon Johnson signed an executive order that the holiday be celebrated on the 3rd Sunday in June. And under President Richard Nixon in 1972, Congress passed an act officially making Father's Day a national holiday. 6 years later, Sonora died at age 96. 2 economic events pushed Father's Day forward. First, the Great Depression. With so many people pinching their pennies, the economy needed reasons for people to spend money. Father's Day was promoted by struggling stores as an occasion to get fathers some of the clothing and material goods they needed. It was a way to invite people to get Dad the necktie or pair of socks that he probably wouldn't buy for himself.
Sir, what's with all the hubbub?
Smith, why are you wearing the same basic tie you wear every day? Now I'm going to have to cut you from the fashion show.
The second event being World War II. The desire to support American troops in the war effort provided another reason to support and show appreciation for dads. And over time, the idea of fatherhood changed as well. It's not viewed as the feminine model with flowers, but it has become more of a day that celebrates what dads like to do, whether it's going fishing, or flying, or go-karting, or laughing at his dad jokes. It focuses on the larger roles that dads play with their children. Partly, this change is due to the way society has evolved. There are no longer huge armies of workers toiling away in industrial factories, while women spend hours hand-stitching and hand-washing the family's clothes. The modern role of the father has changed so that mothers and fathers are partners, each taking more responsibility within family life. Fathers are now seen as a significant influence on children. We know from many studies what happens when a father figure is lacking. In a sense, today, Father's Day helps remind us of the importance and value of fatherhood and the gifts beyond material goods that a father bestows on his family. If you liked our video, don't forget to subscribe and follow our channel for more videos like this one.
My son come and give me a Father's Day gift. Oh.